you have to give James DeGALE, the IBF 168-pound champion, some credit, because if it's true that he'll be fighting Lucian Bute November the 14th, 2015, up in Canada, then that'll be a pretty good string of fights for him, especially after the fact that, well, we know he signed with Al Haymon now, if you don't know. And Al Haymon formula for a fighter is, if they win the title, they usually start taking easier matchups before they get into their next big fight. Well, you got James DeGALE, who defeated Andre Dirrell, in which was a very good fight that started off, but seemed like James DeGALE started slowing down in the end. He fought Brandon Gonzalez, he fought Marco Antonio Parabon, and now if he fights Lucian Bute, it'll be up in Canada. So here you have the IBF champion of the world, who just won his title against Andre Dirrell, coming from the UK, fighting in Boston of all places, wins the title, and now he's going to defend it up in Canada. I think that has to be respected because he's actually fighting good competition. Now, the good thing about James DeGALE is, in the IBF division, is that there's so many big fights for James DeGALE. For example, even though George Groves lost, he could still get that fight and it will still pretty much good numbers. But if he wins, then George Groves' career is over. He could fight Badu Jack in a unification fight. Andre Dirrell again, Anthony Dirrell, and then of course what is now which is now, I guess, would be a big super fight in the UK, fighting the winner between Caleb Smith and Rocky Felding after Lucian Bute. So he's in actually a pretty good spot. Saying fight Andre Ward, I think Andre Ward is really in the 175-pound division now for a long term. And Al Haymon doesn't have a working relationship with Rock Nation, who promotes Andre Ward, but yet the promoter, put it this way. James DeGALE is promoted by Eddie Hearn, but he's advised, managed by Al Haymon. Eddie Hearn had Paul Smith fight Andre Ward, and which was a nasty fight. So that goes to show you that Rock Nation and Matchroom Promotions, Eddie Hearn, have a working relationship. But when it comes to the advisor of James DeGALE, Al Haymon, he doesn't have a working relationship with Jay-Z. You know, another fight, potential big fight for James DeGALE if he defeats Lucian Bute, Arthur Abraham. Now, of course, with me mentioning all these fights, that goes to show you that I'm actually picking James DeGALE to defeat Lucian Bute. It's just something about Lucian Bute. He's a very, very good boxer, but ever since Carl Froch, I'm starting to think that he's damaged goods. Now, he fought Carl Froch. He had two fights in 2012 where he fought Carl Froch and Denis Granovich. He got knocked out by Carl Froch in that May. He fought Granovich in like that November. He didn't fight again until he didn't fight in 2013 at all. One fight in 2014 against Jean Pascal when he fought at light heavyweight, and he lost that fight. Even though he put up a good performance, he lost that fight because he could do nothing to hurt or give in. Like, basically his power didn't carry up to 175 pounds. Then he fought a few weeks ago, about a month ago right now, we're in September 22nd, 2015, against a light heavyweight who was pretty much an unknown on PBC because he's an Al Haymon fighter now. And fighting James DeGALE, I'm thinking to myself, going back down to 168, what reason do I have to believe that he can actually defeat a James DeGALE? Now, as I said, if it was supposed to happen, if it is going to happen, it's going to happen in Canada, which is smart because Lucian Bute can sell out that arena up there in Canada, 20,000 plus, and James DeGALE will be able to get, some exposure, as far as global exposure, and the money would make sense because I don't know how much he made. No, actually, he made good money to fight Andre Dirrell. He made over $1.5 million. Remember, Al Haymon did that crazy purse bid for that fight. So if he fights Lucian Bute, he can maybe make $2-3 million, and plus over there, it may be on PBC down here, but if I'm correct, up there in Canada, they may put it on pay-per-view. I'm not quite sure. So for him to fight away to win the title and then fight away as his first title defense makes perfect sense to me because he can beat Lucian Bute up there in Canada, gain some new fans, and then go back and fight, whoever in a return fight, in the UK. And I'm sure his UK fans want to see him. But right now, if he wants to be a global superstar, this is actually a pretty good path for him. Because, for example, let's say if he beats Lucian Bute, Then he fights either Caleb Smith or Rocky Fielding, likely Caleb Smith, in my opinion. And then he goes on to fight Arthur Abraham if Arthur Abraham still has the belt. Then if he goes on to fight Badu Jack if Badu Jack still has the belt. You see what I'm saying? So the path for James DeGALE is a very lucrative one if it's done right. And Lucian Bute is a winnable fight, but the fight is not official yet. It's going to be in the Videotron Arena, I believe. 20,000 or so people at seats. I actually heard about this about a week or so ago. I got a Facebook message from one of my friends up there in Canada who's actually very close to Lucian Bute, but he just told me, yeah, Lucian Bute versus James DeGALE was being discussed. It wasn't until I read on Boxing Scene like, oh shit, it really is going to happen probably. But November the 14th, 2015, it's supposed to happen. If it does happen, remember, this will be Lucian Bute going after the belt that he lost to Carl Froch. So remember, Carl Froch has been the IBF champion since he beat Lucian Bute, and then and Andre Dirrell and James DeGALE had to fight for the vacated belt since the IBF decided to strip Carl Froch because Carl Froch wouldn't fight James DeGALE. So that pretty much runs that down. I'm T Street Controversy. This is T Street Controversy Live at RealCombatMedia.com, and I cover every single major fight live. Please subscribe.